Hello, everybody. I'm Hilary Sloane, and this is Driftwood Conversations. Today I'm sitting down with someone who moves through the high desert with a kind of quiet defiance. Gabriel Hart is a reporter, a novelist, a musician. He lives in Morongo Valley, works in the news cycle with me at Z1077, and then goes home and writes into darker, stranger territory. Gabe trusts his own vision, even when the publishing world says no, even when the easier path would be to smooth the edges. He writes with a fierce love of language. You can hear it in his voice, you can feel it when you read him. His work sits somewhere between punk and noir. It questions authority, it resists packaging, it refuses sentimentality, and here in the desert, that kind of artistic integrity matters. It reminds me to keep going. This is a conversation about discipline, rejection, independence, and what it means to protect your voice. Here's Gabriel. Hi, Gabriel.
Hey, how's it going, Hilary? Thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure. So, tell me who you are in your words, where you came from, what you do, and I know it's a lot.
Let's see. I have lived in Morongo Valley for a little over 10 years. I'm a writer, musician, I'm a fiction writer, editor, now publisher of a literature magazine, and a reporter here at Z1077, as you said, and then I'm a musician as well. I play in a local band called Hotel Mercy.
Let's talk about your writing first, because you're pretty prolific. Got the magazine going. I know there's other people's writing in there, but you're putting all that together. You've just published a book.
Yeah, but my novel On High at Red Tide came out in almost 2 years ago, to fall of 2024 from Pig Roast Publishing.
And tell me about it.
So I've been describing On High at Red Tide as sort of a punk rock noir. I think punk rock is very, very ripe for the noir angle, just in general. And it takes place in Orange County in the early 90s, when there was still what I felt was like a kind of a seedy underbelly. I wanted to take a different approach to crime fiction where murder isn't so glossed over. Even in some of the more progressive crime fiction you see, murder is just like glossed over. It's almost mind-numbing how much death and murder are in these books. And I love crime fiction, but I kind of wanted to take a different angle where one murder was fully explored, and the remorse of what that must feel like. And it's almost like a meditation of the aftermath of what that must feel like when someone thought that they were doing the right thing. So I was trying to bring something a little bit different to the crime fiction genre, and I think the punk rock angle, like I said, I think that's it's overdue for a kind of intertwining of those genres.
When I explored your work online, you were described as focusing on themes of societal decay, disillusionment, and the underbelly of culture life. Would you agree to that?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's a correlation. You could apply that to what punk rock is known for, and you could apply that to what noir literature is known for.
Does your music fall into that too?
I think so, yeah. My previous band, Jail Weddings, we were always described as like a punk noir kind of group. I've read crime fiction and noir kind of all my life, and I think that was naturally coming through in my lyrics. Just kind of seeing the world through that kind of fractured, very bleak kind of fractured lens, and poetry that could kind of come through that wreckage.
Do you think there was something in your childhood in Orange County that encouraged that point of view?
Yeah, I remember picking up a copy of James Ellroy's Black Dahlia right when that came out. I think I got it at a thrift store. It had just come out like a year before that. And I remember reading that book and being able to relate to it almost too much. Just the stuff I was exposed to in real life in these kind of seedy underbellies. I would meet these kind of gangster kids, these sort of real fringe types that had been in and out of the jail system and everything. And it's almost just like knowing too much too soon at such an early age. And, I had a lot of friends that kind of went through the whole jail system too. I was lucky enough to kind of like avoid any of that. But definitely like the drug thing was big among our friends and stuff. So I think our gang was just sort of a magnet for that kind of fringe type behavior. And so when I remember when I read The Black Dahlia and just the way James Ellroy wrote, it almost gave me an outlet for all this stuff that had been building up in my head, and almost realizing like, oh yeah, this is this is probably not a normal way to grow up. And I know James Ellroy kind of grew up in a very similar way. So yeah, I think between just all those kind of life events happening at such an early age. I was in Orange County. I was a very free range child, and we all were. And so we would just get into all kinds of trouble just because I think we wanted to. It's almost like we wanted to bypass our teenage years and just go right into adulthood. And I think when you're that young, it's like, and you are a free range child, you almost crave a discipline. And so you want to, like, I guess, test the limits of consequence. So I think that's sort of what attracted me to crime fiction. And just, it's almost in a way like we were living that material. Reading James Ellroy for the first time gave me an outlet, like, oh, I could actually write about this stuff, and almost to hold us accountable for the way we were living. And that started. I started writing poetry, and I started playing in bands and everything. And I think those lyrically, that definitely informed like my first bands and stuff. So,
do you think writing and singing about it helped you not get in trouble?
Yeah. Well, I think so. It can go kind of two ways. Like I said, I think writing about it, you're holding your face up to the mirror in a way, and so yeah, there's this accountability that happens, but then at the same time, I think it depends on how susceptible you are into losing yourself in a persona as well. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And I think for a while, in my 20s and maybe early 30s, there was a danger of me losing myself into that persona. So I think I've hopefully, moved past that. I really consider myself a writer more than a musician now. It used to be the other way around. So yeah, the focus is really just on writing and kind of getting all these demons out and trying to improve with my language and prose and everything. And I think that's been the greatest discipline I've sought and hopefully achieved.
So you work a lot. You have a very busy schedule. You're doing a lot of things. You're working with Miltree. You've got jobs. You've got deadlines. How do you discipline yourself to write?
I mean, I don't. It's because I love doing it. I mean, it doesn't feel like work to me. Yeah, you're right. I do work a lot. I work a lot here at the radio. Yeah, I mean, I have a writing addiction. It's like when I feel like everything is mine and in my control. And yeah, I feel like time kind of stands still. I just make time for it. I don't watch a lot of I try not to spend a lot of time on my phone. I don't really watch as much TV, I think, as your normal person does. It's an addiction, really. I mean, it's hopefully like a healthy addiction. Do you have
a scheduled time to write?
For first thing in the morning, I will read for an hour just to kind of read with my coffee or whatever, just to get my head in that space, and then I go right into writing for an hour or two. I feel like that's kind of the most fertile time. I try to get that all in before my two day jobs start piling up with that workflow. Just sort of like, I find it to be a really easy way to just like claim your day as yours, like immediately. I used to write a lot at night, not so much anymore. Maybe I am experiencing a sort of middle-aged burnout where I can't write into like the wee hours of the night like I used to. But I do set my alarm for 6 a.m. every morning. Whether I like to have that kind of control. I never sleep in. I don't know what it's like to sleep in. I don't know I always feel like I'm gonna miss out on something if I sleep in. And sometimes you do. Sometimes it's those like epiphanies you have while you're writing, or every day is different when it's you and the page. Like, you have no idea where your thoughts are gonna go. And so it's almost like I feel like I have to wake up super early just to make sure I catch those butterflies in that net. Yeah, it's when I moved here 10 years ago, I got in LA when I lived in LA for 20 years, and I don't know how I lived like that. Me and my friends would close out bars, at 2, and then I would wake up to go work at the grocery store, sometimes at 6. And moving here has given me a lot more, like, my circadian rhythm just completely smoothed itself out. Like, I start getting tired right when the sun goes down, and and that's why I can set my alarm for early in the morning, because I like to look forward to that part of the day and not push the limits at night anymore.
What is your process for coming up with ideas for your book?
Okay, so the On High at Red Tide the novel that came out a couple of years ago, that had been percolating for a very long time. That was a story I had been trying to tell since I was a teenager, and I think I had to just develop as a writer before I could tell it the right way. That book had a really interesting trajectory. I got picked up by an agent in 2021, this big New York agent, and I forgot how he had heard about it, but I think it was something on Twitter or something. I had mentioned I had finished like the rough draft, and he signed me in the book. It was a really exhilarating year that he had it, but he was so convinced that he had it in the bag with this book, and he was gassing me up, saying I was going to be able to quit my job and everything. And but it ended up getting rejected by 23 of the biggest publishers out there. I mean, it was really interesting to see how that whole process worked, and they gave positive feedback, but it's the same thing that I always have. It's this reoccurring thing with me where they're just all like, we have no idea how to market this. Since that's been such a reoccurring thing, I've really found a lot of pride in this. Like, no one knows where to put me, in a easily digestible or marketable way. And I feel like that's when you know that something is maybe special, or maybe not for mass consumption, at least. But so it was humbling. I mean, he's all, Gabe, I'm sorry I tried. Your book is, yours obviously to do whatever you want with now. And I had reread the manuscript for the first time since I'd given it to him, and I'm all like, oh my God, this is a pile of garbage to my standards. I think the blessing and the curse of being a writer is, like, you don't know how much you've improved until it's too late sometimes. And that was definitely one of those instances. I think I had rewritten it before I gave it to him to make it more marketable in a way, and it wasn't really my voice. So him giving it back to me was one of the best things that actually happened to the book, because I got to make it as weird as I wanted to. I got to make it as weird and unmarketable. I got to really just lean into that, which is where I think I'm the most comfortable. And I hired my friend El Nash, who's this amazing editor, which was more valuable to me than having a big agent. I mean, spending that money to hire someone like that can be just so valuable for your book. And I had another editor after that, Lisa Carver, and she just kind of fine-tuned everything. And it was my second full-length book, but I felt like it was really my first novel, just as far as the learning process, and then landing at a very punk rock publisher. You know what I mean? It's sort of like it was the best place for that particular book. And
how's it doing?
What do you mean?
I mean, is it selling? Or
yeah, I mean,
it's out.
Yeah, it's for indie literature. If a book sells 100 to 200 copies, you're actually doing pretty good, and that's about what we're looking at. There's big 5 books that don't even do that well right now. Like, there's big 5 books that will sell 30 to 50 copies. They're like tax write-offs essentially. Yeah, I like to see things as like the quality, not the quantity of readers, and I know that they're all going to very understanding and enthusiastic hands. So yeah, I think I'm sort of right where that book should be,
I heard you
considering
read.
how fringe of a book it is.
I heard you read some of it, and what I was really struck by was your language.
Mm-hmm.
And as a writer too, I was thinking when I heard it, the language is so deep and engulfing that, okay, this is a writer's question. How do you keep it all straight? Keep your theme and your plot and where you're going, and then is that just natural to you?
It's a really good question. I mean, my favorite books, like I like crime fiction and I like a lot of like postmodern stuff too, where like the points of views are just constantly changing and like that's talking to the reader all of a sudden, just really, I really get off on that stuff. I don't really love linear narratives. I have to be in the mood for like a linear narrative. I like to think maybe I pulled off the best of both those worlds, but yeah, I like prose to be kind of challenging. And
Who are your favorite writers?
James Ellroy, like I mentioned, he's a big kind of beacon for me. I like guys like Don DeLillo. I like guys like Dennis Cooper. He's kind of more of like the gay kind of transgressive gay part of the spectrum.
Did you like Truman Capote?
Yeah, I do like Truman Capote a lot. I like Norman Mailer. I like, some of my favorite authors, to be honest, are like on these like small independent publishers. We've really, I feel like we've all created a network where we're all reading each other and we're all really jazzed on what we're reading. It's turned into kind of its own microcosm.
There's something cathartic about writing. There's something deep, and you were very introspective as far as I know. My sense of you. So when you write things like that, is it a way of really exploring your psyche?
I think so. I mean, of course. And maybe this will answer your question earlier about language. I don't write for the content of, like, I don't write for the subjects. I really write for like what you could do with language. I mean, the subjects are almost just props in a way for what you could do, for how you could communicate the language of those props in a way. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm not the most dense writer in the world, but I strive to challenge myself and challenge my own expectations, as because you have to live with that book for the rest of your life. So
Cormac
McCarthy, he's another one of my favorites. Definitely.
I would think so.
Yeah, he's huge.
And he's an incredible writer, but I did have trouble reading him because it's so graphic.
Do you remember which one you had?
Old Man for...
No Country for Old Men. Yeah.
That one.
Yeah, that's a crazy book. I mean, and he's a guy that always subverts expectations too. It's his books will often just take all these left turns. It'll turn into a different book all of a sudden. His last two books were really, great places to leave on for, The Passenger and Stella Maris. He was still just completely challenging to his last breath. And yeah, he's special to me because I was reading Blood Meridian. I remember when I was moving out here.
Blood Meridian is another one I think I tried.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's his most hyper-violent.
Yeah.
One. And
was that at the Mexican Revolution or something? Which one was that?
Yeah. Well, the Mexican American War when that. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It was all based on true events, and really, really heavy. But again, the language is beautiful. Even the hyper-violent parts the language. It's direct, but it's so beautiful as well. He's
almost poetic, if I remember.
He's just somehow able to do that. And he also writes he could also write very, borderline mainstream books too, like All the Pretty Horses. That was like a huge smash hit, across the board but yeah, he's definitely another beacon for me.
Do you have any new goals or directions? Another book? Anything you want to start working on?
I'm working on another novel right now. I was actually in the middle of it. I've been working on it for a year. It's takes place up here in the desert, and I've been describing it as Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf with an arsonist as an awkward third wheel. Yeah, and I've been working on that for a while. I was kind of working on it in tandem with On High at Red Tide. The working title is The Repelements. It's sort of like a study of just sort of a domestic dystopia with a couple sort of trapped together, you know. But yeah, I had to take a break. I actually got a really exciting. I can't talk too much about it, but I'm writing a script on spec right now for somewhat a director I really admire and stuff. And so that came out of complete left field. And at first I had, you know, all kinds of imposter syndrome about it, but he's been really encouraging, and he just wants to see what I could do, and I'm having so much fun with it. It's like, if nothing else comes of it, you know, because it is on spec, if nothing else comes of it, I'm just so grateful for this experience, because it's like opened my creative scope up tremendously, and it's just been really fun too.
Congratulations. That sounds great.
Thanks.
So how much of your writing now has been formed by the desert?
Oh, I would say quite a bit. I mean, I think when I moved here 10 years ago, that's really when I leaned into being a writer first and musician second. It felt like a move. I mean, sounds like such a cliche thing to say, but yeah, moving up here offered me a total clean slate to really start fresh, and you know, little distraction, you know, the silence that the desert brings and everything. And yeah, I think just the nature about. I've become way more of a naturalist and started to pay more attention to just like the flora and fauna around us and everything, and injecting that into my stories. Some of the crime fiction venues that I submit to, I know that they like that about my stuff a lot, that I'm from the desert and I bring, you know, kind of a firsthand knowledge into these stories and stuff. So yeah, it's definitely informed my writing. If not the environment, then just the silence. Been just good for the focus and the discipline, like I was saying before.
You went on a book tour also.
Uh-huh.
How was that for you?
It was great. Yeah, the right when On High at Red Tide came out in fall of 2024, Pig Roast Publishing, who put it out, they booked 3 dates. And it was a really good example of this sort of microcosm, this independent literature microcosm that I was referring to before, because a crowd will show up and you'll know half of them just because they're, you know, you've read some of their books, you know, they've read your books and everything. It feels, and again, it's like the punk rock thing it feels like this new incarnation of punk rock. I think maybe because punk rock music, or music in general, I feel like has been so devalued. To me, it's these readings that are happening, these kind of more underground independent literature readings, that it's having the same excitement and the same sort of element of like emergency and urgency that I felt like punk rock used to have for me growing up. There's a real excitement and like a mutual appreciation happening. Like you feel like you're, part of something new in a way, and that's far removed from, you know, big publishing and Amazon and all that stuff. And we're kind of just doing your own thing. We're just, you know, we got into a van and we were just showing up in these towns. And
you went with other people?
Yeah, so it was like other authors on Pig Roast, and Jeff the CEO of Pig Roast was driving. So it was like, yeah.
Oh, nice.
It reminded me of like, the old days of touring in a band too. So
yeah,
but with no equipment to carry. Thank God.
That would definitely be a plus.
Right.
That's lovely. That sounds like a great experience for you.
Yeah, and it's been really supportive, and I always like to kind of meet people that I work with. You know, create a real friendship out of the whole of the whole thing, and that's definitely been the experience with Pig Roast.
When everything falls away, or if everything fell away, reputation, genre, scene, connections, what would you want your writing to leave behind?
Oh God, that is so tough. Like, what would I want to be remembered by through my writing?
Yeah, or what do you want your writing to give to people that they walk away with?
God, I don't know if I've ever even thought of that before this moment.
Maybe. Are you showing them an aspect of life? Are you waking them up? Are you?
I mean, I think if anything, hopefully just I would leave them with an example of honesty and without pandering to any cultural I don't know. I think just honesty maybe that you wouldn't see elsewhere. A lot of times when I really love a writer, I love their books because you could tell no one else could have written that book than that person. So I think that would be my only thing I would want to be remembered by, is like only Gabriel Hart could have written that.
That's great. That's great. But you are still performing.
Yeah. You mean musically?
Music, sorry.
Yeah, and I don't want to diminish that part of my life either, because I spend a lot of time going to band practice right after I'm done talking to you. And it's so so Hotel Mercy, it's half my songs, it's half Tim Gray's songs. He's like one of my favorite songwriters up here, so it's just been a joy to do this band with him and our drummer Pablo and our bass player Keith. I was really something happened to me during the pandemic where I'm just like, I don't want to be a musician anymore. This is like, I felt like the last thing the world needed was like a white dude peacocking around on stage, but after a while, I'm just like, oh, I shouldn't throw the baby out with the bathwater. And the act of singing, I think, is really, really good for me. Just, even on like a mental health basis, just the act of singing just feels really good. It feels like I'm definitely like releasing something, that tends to stagnate. It feels like I should be doing that, and not
and you're great at it. I really enjoyed hearing you at Mojave Gold.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate that. I think I've just been really disillusioned with what the whole paradigm of music has become, and the social media aspect of it, the streaming aspect of it. I think when I was growing up, we would tour and we would make records and we would sell records, and a band was able to really actually sustain themselves as like a sustainable business, really. And those days, I think, are just really few and far between. I think playing in this band again, or playing in a band again, has just reminded me like why I was doing it all along. And I'm able to kind of focus on those more kind of elemental aspects of it rather than the sustainability of it,
How old were you when you started playing?
I was 12, I think, when I started playing guitar.
Wow. And you toured?
I didn't start touring until I was like 18. But definitely like toured pretty regularly from the time I was 18 to the time I was 43, 42, something like that. Our last show as a touring band, my old band Jail Weddings, was right when the pandemic started. Like our last show was at First World that December, right before the pandemic. So that was kind of like, the end of that.
Things are changing in every field. In film, in writing, in publishing, in music. Do you have a sense of what you'd like to see come out of this? Because we're in such disruption right now. I don't think anybody knows what's actually going to happen. But
You know what? I think the excitement I'm feeling with like small publishing, independent literature and stuff, I think that same excitement is actually happening in film right now too. My brother was just the art director on this film, Jimmy and Stiggs, that actually got picked up by a major production company. And I think since everything is collapsing, I think the attention is going on smaller budget projects by people like us who would just kind of die for it, rather than pander to some idea of mass consumption. I think there's a real organic shifting of attention kind of going into that direction.
I see that in every field, from healthcare to women's groups, and I think men's groups too, but I'm not as involved in that. But the women's groups, they're starting up startups. There's new startups, and it's local, and they've got great ideas. And I really believe in that. I think it will happen.
Yeah. As far as culturally, I mean, what we're experiencing right now, I have no idea what to say about that. I think we're witnessing a huge general collapse, and maybe it's a positive thing because, maybe we're at the tail end of our culture wars, because it's like we're really we're maybe really seeing who the bad guys are now, and it's maybe not who we expected, or maybe it's just more, it's more vast. I just think this is a really interesting time and a terrifying time, and I think we're too deep in it to even know what to even do. I mean,
but we're doing things locally.
Yeah.
You're doing it. And you teach too. You're working with Miltree.
Yeah, I would say I'm facilitating a writing class, not necessarily teaching one. But in March we're doing this thing called Rites of Passage. Renee Asher Pickup is going to do the first two weeks, and that'll be the writing portion, and then I'll come in and do the editing portions to kind of help people through whatever they've written during that time. Yeah, Miltree is great. Yeah, their whole mission statement is to kind of end veteran isolation, and now there's a focus on, civilian isolation too, and just kind of like bridging those two worlds. So yeah, I'm just glad to be part of that.
What about the radio? Talk to me about your journalism and how you came about that.
I love it here. I was only really doing literary criticism before I worked here. Yeah, Gary took a big chance on me. He's all like, "Well, it looks like you could write, so let's see what you can do." And it's like, I'm so grateful. I feel like, yeah, we all work really hard here, but it doesn't feel like work to me. I would be writing all day regardless. So it's just a little shifting, tailoring my consciousness to just something a little bit more, nonfiction.
What I should say is Gary Daigneault
is
the owner of this local station. It's been family run. Jeff Harmitz and Robert Hayden are our editors and run the newsroom, and every one of us loves it.
Yeah, it's always something. I feel like it's always something new. It's always unpredictable, which is, I feel like, keeps it interesting. I really learned so much more about the whole high desert since I lived here. I mean, from the crime stuff to just like, it's taken me out of my comfort zones. It's like you end up interacting with people that you wouldn't normally interact with, for some of these stories that for some of this reporting we do. And I'm just really grateful just to get a more vast idea of what this whole place is about.
Also, the inner workings of government. I've covered meetings, and I never was interested until I started to go to these meetings, and I realized how dedicated these people are.
Yeah, it's been really inspiring. Yeah, just to see how like an unincorporated town like Morongo Valley runs. I had no idea I had never even heard of a community services district before, and just seeing the passion people have. Morongo residents, just the passion they have for their little town. Yeah, it's contagious. I mean, it's given me a lot of pride living there and covering that as one of my main beats.
Morongo Valley is part of San Bernardino. It's not really a town, and there's a lot of space between residents.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, people, there's a type down there. It's like they really don't want any outside influence coming into Morongo, and it's like they could spot it from a mile away.
Yes.
Right now we have there's this big fight to, they're trying to build a communications tower, this corporate communications tower right by these residents' houses. I mean, and it's going to be, that could open up the floodgates to all kinds of corporations just, completely taking advantage of that land. It messes with the wildlife. Morongo residents have a real fierceness to them, and they're really learning how to band together, sign petitions and everything. It's cool to kind of see all that happening.
The theme here that I keep hearing is maybe everything's gotten so big.
Mm-hmm.
The Amazon and the record companies and the movies. I mean, they were all taken over. I remember when you could walk into the studios, because I was in that industry, and you knew everybody.
Right.
And some of them had been around since the 40s.
Mm-hmm.
And then conglomerates kept coming in and buying them up and buying them up. And
right.
Before you know it, you're a number.
Yeah, and culture is just completely just gets so benign too after that all that, It really just kind of nullifies, I don't know, like flattens culture. That's I think the most unfortunate part of it.
There's something interesting about being up here because it is so small. Are you ever concerned that it's too isolating?
Concern? I think it takes a lot of like daily maintenance to not let that isolation kind of bite you in the ass, because it even if you have a community and close friends, it's like it can still kind of affect you mentally. I don't know, because I think I signed up for it, and I know how to handle it, and I know, I'm pretty good at forcing myself if I feel like I'm sort of succumbing to that isolation. I know where to go to kind of curtail that. If anything, I'm worried about it becoming too big, and I don't mind the fact that we're popular here and people love coming here. I think that's great. I mean, I was one of those people once before I made the jump to move here, but I just think of stuff like the traffic, like what's going to happen in another, what did they say, like 1 million more visitors come every year? Is it? Some crazy statistic like that. I wonder about, we have a housing crisis here. There's the Airbnb thing. The small businesses and stuff are closing all the time. So I don't worry about the isolation as much as just the opportunism that comes here, and the developments that from people that don't even live here, that try to just like take a piece of our land here. It's not. I think these people are looking at shorter term profits than anything community oriented. Obviously, I mean, we report on this stuff all the time, and I think one thing that happens when you live here is you kind of become an activist because you see that immediately. Yeah, so that's my main concern. I think what happened, were you in town when the Perseid meteor shower happened? Do you remember how crazy that was?
That was crazy.
That was terrifying to me because, it created this whole dangerous situation. There was bumper-to-bumper traffic from Morongo Valley all the way into the park. People, there's one way in and one way out here. And I was thinking, when I saw that traffic, I'm all like, oh my God, what if there was a fire? Then I found out that people were just lighting fires everywhere, thinking that nobody lived here. There's a lot of people that hadn't been here before. So yeah, those are my concerns as a resident of the basin.
Concern.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had a house for a little while in Taos, New Mexico. And it's the same thing. It's just one street in and one street out. And you're in the mountains.
Right.
And I was actually right past Taos in a even smaller town, Arroyo Seco. Mm-hmm. And it's on the way up to the ski slopes. So, but yeah, that's always going to be a challenge, I think, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And we have to wait for roads for Caltrans.
Yeah.
So it's not like we could do anything.
Right.
We're not like Taos where they can't build. They're in the mountains. We can build another road, another passage. Mm-hmm. I know they're going to be rebuilding 247. Do you know that?
Oh, yeah. They're going to do that again? I thought that they already...
Did they finish?
I think they finished, yeah.
Oh, I thought it was
But
a much bigger project.
It might be. I know they're like going to rename it and everything. Like some big convoluted name. I can't
I'll
remember.
have to look that up.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell us where people can find you, where they can get your book, and if they want to look you up, if they want to connect?
Yeah, so you can buy my novel On High at Red Tide through pigrosspublishing.com. Please don't buy it through Amazon. Authors only get 90 cents for every book sold on Amazon. So support the small publishers. You can get my magazine, Beyond the Last Estate, from our website, which is beyondthelastestate.com. My personal website is www.gabrielhart.net. You could hear my band Hotel Mercy at Bandcamp/Hotel Mercy. And if you do want to be part of the whole Rites of Passage Mill Tree program, there's a sign up at mill-tree.org. And I think that's about it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I love working with you.
Likewise.
We have a good group here.
Yeah, we really do.
That's Gabriel Hart, reporter, novelist, musician, a writer who moves toward fracture rather than away from it, somebody who works without spectacle, but never without doubt. He is quiet by nature, yet what comes through his work is steady, precise, and unflinching. There is no performance in it, only intention. You can find his books, his magazine, and his music in the show notes and on my Substack page for this episode. I hope you explore them. They will tell you even more about why I wanted to sit down with him and have this conversation. If something in this episode stayed with you, I would love to know. You can share your thoughts on Substack, pass the episode along, or simply sit with it for a while. Thank you for being here. This is Driftwood Conversations, and I'm Hilary Sloane.